You know, I went into an office today. Have you ever seen that TV comedy, The Office? It reminded me of that. I think the whole point of creating that sitcom was to kind of just undermine or shine a light on how soulless some of those places can be. And I looked at the people sitting behind desks. I looked at the insufficient air conditioning. I looked at the people staring at their screens. They'd been there early, they were going to go home late, and I was wondering, were they really going to spend all day writing emails, or were they just going to stare at the screen and pretend to be working? And I was talking to a guy who said at one point, I've been in this in my career about 7 years, and he checked himself because he'd just heard what he'd said. And you could see that without even realizing it on an unconscious level, he was at some point inside of himself, he was thinking, oh my goodness, I've been doing this for 7 years. And at that moment, I had a kind of an instinct. I wonder what his 18 or 21-year-old self would say to him if he saw what he was doing. And when I look at my 18 or 21-year-old self, sometimes I'm a little bit shocked at the way things turn out. And often I think to myself, at the end of my life, what am I going to look back on? Am I going to look back on spending the largest portion of my life doing something that I was really passionate about, that I really wanted to do and that I made a difference with? Or am I going to say that, you know what, I just spent most of my time listening to what other people told me and doing what most people do and not really thinking about it, and just burying those kind of thoughts about, oh, passion, you know, this is what I really want to do. But people don't do those kind of things, do they? Or do they? So I'm starting to believe that in many ways we can't avoid confronting our passions and confronting and asking ourselves the question, what is it that we really love to do? What is it that we're really good at? What is it that we were put here to do? And why do we spend so much time following ideas of what we're supposed to do? So that's my thought for the evening. I hope you have a great evening, and I hope that maybe this encourages you to think about who you were at 18, who you were at 21. What were you into? What were you really passionate about? How did you want to change the world? How did you think you were going to make an impact in the world? And compare that with what actually happened, and maybe start thinking to yourself, have I achieved everything that I want to achieve in my working life? Because our working life's relatively short. Have a great evening.